voicing their concerns over the country's war on graft. Now, several agencies, including the Kenya Airports Authority and the Kenya Airways, are expected to appear before MP's committee to discuss the contentious issue of JKIA takeover by KQ. Our reporter Patrick Amimo has been on this beat and now joins us live from our city centre studios. Amimo, good morning. What do we expect from this meeting today?
Good morning, Michelle. In Parliament, full of activities, but now of major focus will be this particular meeting, the controversial subject where we've seen the Kenya Airports plan to take over the running of operations at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, an airport that earns almost 90% of revenue to the Kenya Airports Authority. It's a matter that has been opposed. We've seen the Kenya Aviation Workers Union oppose that takeover bid, and now we've seen last week there was that the committee, that is the watchdog committee, that is the Public Investments Committee, did start those grilling sessions last week where it met the Kenya Airports Authority top management and also members of the board. And we saw these also last week they indicated that they were supposed to meet, the two principal secretaries for transport, that is Paul Maringa and Esther Koimet. And those two PSSs have been invited and they are scheduled to appear before the Public Investments Committee at 10 today. Something interesting is that the Transport Committee in the National Assembly is also now seized of the matter. And we saw last week that Gatundu South Member of Parliament, Moses Kuria, who is the Vice Chair of that Transport Committee, come before the PIC and try to push the case that the Transport Committee is the one that should be the one that is investigating this matter. But from the look of things, PIC says that they'll maintain the ground because it's an investment, that there is the committee that is mandated to take over matters to do with investment, whether there's value for money for Kenyans. So PIC is already steps ahead over this matter, and we've seen now the Transport Committee is trying to come on board, where today they'll also be looking with, they'll be talking to managers from the Kenya Airways and Kenya Airports Authority with regard to that restructuring process where Kenya Airways plans to take over the running of operations at the airport. It will be interesting to see because, especially from PIC, where the two principal secretaries will have to explain the existence of the cabinet memo, which they claim gave Kenya Airways Authority to run over, to take over operations of the Kenya Airports Authority. Last week, when the CEO of Kenya Airports Authority, that is Johnny Anderson, appeared before the committee, said he could not access the cabinet memo because he was told it's a confidential document, and members wanted really to know whether that was the true position and or not, because even members of parliament have not accessed that cabinet memo. So it's upon the two principal secretaries to come and justify or explain to members what really transpired, because in the letter that was written by Esther Koimet, she's not indicating in her letter anywhere that there was a cabinet memo to that effect. But then Paul Maringa's letter appears to indicate that it was a cabinet memo. So that controversy will have to be cleared before the Public Investments Committee when it meets, and for these two PSS, it will be their day to explain to Kenyans what is happening at our airport, because members are concerned that Kenya Airports Authority is a profit-making venture to the upwards of about 9 billion shillings, yet it's being to 100% transition, but there are reports out there that many children are yet to join Form 1 from poor backgrounds. In fact, there was a story of a boy who is working in a garage yet to join Form 1. So this particular committee will be interested to know whether that 100% transition was met or it was just a talk by the CS and not implementing this particular noble idea. They'll also be looking at the idea of the implementation of the new curriculum, the competency-based education system, system where there are reports, complaints by parents that there was an oversupply of textbooks. So members will be getting to know how the textbook matter is, and also capitation, because some schools have said that the government is here to release monies that are supposed to be given to learners, because each learner, like in secondary school, is supposed to get 22,000 shillings. That's in secondary school, and in primary schools, I think there is about 1,800 shillings, which is to cater for the learning of those pupils in our primary school. So the Education Committee will be seized of that matter. And also another committee that will be meeting today is that to do with tourism, sports and tourism, where CS Balala is expected to appear before the committee to explain this alleged land grabbing of Mama Ngina Drive, or that waterfront, which we saw 2 months ago. The president come and try to launch that particular, protect that particular area from land grabbers. So CS Balala will be updating the Committee on Sports on the status of that particular issue, whether the land has been grabbed and or not. The other committee that will be meeting is that of finance. It is meeting the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics with regard to, just to get an update on the government progress with regard to the population and house census, which is slated for August this year. They want to know whether the money has been set aside for that particular exercise, which happens after 10 years in the month of August. For this year, it will happen between August 24th to 25th, as has been the tradition. And also, maybe just to bring you up to speed, there is another, the Committee on Environment will be looking at that controversial issue, the CIFA apartments, which were alleged to be erected on that riparian reserve of Nairobi Dam. They'll be just following up on that status of the CIFA apartments, because there was an injunction which was put for that particular demolition not to happen. So they'll be looking at the status report and also questioning the CS for Environment on why he extended the ban, the ban on logging for another 6 months. And lastly, probably in Parliament, we'll be looking at tomorrow. They'll be making a vote on that gender bill, a very controversial bill, because 4 times in both the National Assembly and the Senate, this bill has flopped. So this other attempt, it was to be November last year, members were to pass a vote on it, but then there was no quorum. So the leader of majority decided to push it to this year, and we've seen already the House Business Committee has seen it fit to place that voting tomorrow afternoon. So this particular bill, the gender bill, requires a support from 2/3 of members. That means for it to sail to the third reading, it must get an endorsement from 233 members of Parliament in the National Assembly, and in the Senate, then it also has to get like 47. But now we are looking at the National Assembly, which is now seized of this particular matter. So we must have like tomorrow 233 MPs supporting this particular bill. If they don't support it, then it flops. So this afternoon we've seen the Kenya Women Parliamentarian Association, KWOPA, will be having a press conference, probably to try to whip support from their members to see that they support this particular gender bill. And if it flops, then I think that will be the end of that matter. But then we'll see whether the members, especially from the female gender, have been lobbying their counterparts to support this particular bill and or not. Because last time we saw members of the male fraternity said that they were being coerced by their female MPs and also some NGOs. So it's a very controversial matter, and also very, very tricky for members of Parliament. And we'll be seeing tomorrow, all eyes will be in the National Assembly in the afternoon to see how the gender bill goes.
All right, many thanks. Our parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo, there will be keeping an eye on those developments.